Something else you should know about me is I am a planner. I am also a big weather person. So what I mean by that is every single morning, without fail, I roll over and I check the weather. Because I just want to be prepared, you know? Anyone else do that? Anyone check the weather every day? And I do it every single day. It's a habit at this point. But have you ever looked at the wrong location when you're looking at the weather? Like, imagine you're living here in Orange County, and you're looking at the weather, and it says it's like, this is rare for us, but it's like 54 degrees, rainy, and cloudy. So you're like, perfect day to wear a sweatshirt, cozy on up in my sweats. But then you step outside, and it's 75 degrees and sunny. It's the worst. But you see, if we were looking at the weather in the wrong location every day, we would never know truly how to dress for the weather. We'd start to look different than everyone else because they were dressed for the weather and we were not dressed for the weather. So if we check the wrong location every day, we'll consistently dress wrong because we're looking at the wrong forecast. In the same way, if you're looking to culture to tell you what's normal, to tell you what's attractive, to tell you what is powerful or valuable, we're all going to dress for the wrong environment. So we'll start, if you keep looking at the same weather every single day, we'll start to shape our lives around that forecast that doesn't even belong to us. So tonight we're wrapping up our Gray Areas series, and we're talking all about modesty. So when I say the word modesty, what comes to your mind? Maybe clothes, maybe dress code, maybe little shorts or crop tops, or maybe being told to cover up, or maybe that's just a girl problem. What I have learned is that modesty doesn't develop when a dress code is in place. It starts when your love for Jesus deepens. It's a sanctifying process. It's a journey. And as we learn more about Jesus and fall more in love with Jesus, he sanctifies our life. And we're going to start to have different ideas, different opinions than we used to. And we should. We should have different opinions. And as I've walked with the Lord, my journey with modesty continues to being refined every single day. But I want to dive into this gray area today, focusing not on how much skin we can cover, but how much of your character you can reveal. Not how much skin you cover, but how much of your character you reveal. You see, we think modesty is all about clothes. We think, but if we only reduce it to that idea that it's all about clothes, instead of asking, how can I honor God with what I wear and what I do, we start asking, how much can I get away with without someone pointing it out? Our culture says our body is our power. If you've got it, show it off. The more attention you can seek, the more value you have, and the more you're worth. And I think we've just become so desensitized to that because we see it everywhere. We see it every single day. We live in a culture that nothing shocks us anymore. We scroll past things on Instagram and we laugh at jokes that are inappropriate and that would have been super inappropriate when our parents were our age. And we see thirst traps and shirtless pictures and body comparisons, sexualized posts, and it just feels normal to us. We don't even blink an eye. It's because we're desensitized. And when everything is normal, nothing feels extreme. The problem with that is some of you in this room might be like, why the heck are we talking about modesty? It's not that big of a deal. It might feel a little bit dramatic, and that's because it's normal. Nothing's extreme to us anymore. And oftentimes we don't think about modesty because we're so consumed by our own thoughts. We're thinking, what am I going to wear? How do I look? Does this look good on me? Will this get attention from the right person? But I think there's a deeper truth to this. There's something underneath that motive. There's always a motive. We want to be wanted. We want to be chosen. We want to feel valuable. And because we're surrounded by this, we start to believe that our value is based on how desired we are. But can I tell you tonight, you don't have to fight to be chosen anymore. You have already been chosen. You've already been chosen. And can I tell you that this is for everyone? This is not just a girl problem. This is for you guys too. So I don't want you guys to check out. Think about flex culture. Think about shirtless pictures. Think about trying to look bigger and posing in the gym, taking selfies, trying to get comments about your body. We're all the same. We all have a desire, and we all have a longing. So the real question isn't if we're enough, it's where are we looking to prove it? Because wherever you look to feel chosen will begin to shape you. If you look at culture, that's going to begin to form you. If you look, if attention is where you look to be chosen, attention will control you. But if Jesus is where you find your worth, Your whole life should begin to form around that. And I think this is where many of us can kind of get it twisted. Many of us say that we follow Jesus. Many of us say we follow Jesus, but we look like everyone else. Our posts look the same. Our jokes sound the same. Our outfits look the same. And we hear all the time, we are called to be set apart, called to be set apart. But what does being set apart truly mean? So if you have your Bibles, anyone have their hard copy Bibles? Raise those up in the air. Super safe people, like Ryan says. We're going to turn to Romans 12, verse 1 and 2. So this is what it says. And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all that he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind that he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. So, are we being formed by Jesus, or are we being conformed by culture? I love this passage because it so explicitly says that modesty is worship to the Lord. And it tells us that we should not copy the behaviors and customs of this world. We should not copy what the world does. Why? Because the world's way isn't working. And so the question I would have for you today is, if someone followed you around for a week based on how you live your life, the way you dress, how you talk, what you post, would someone be able to tell that you follow Jesus? Like, if someone truly followed you around, whether they knew you or not, would they know that you follow Jesus by your actions, by what you wear, by what you post, by what you say? And I'm not saying this to condemn you. I'm saying this because I love you guys so much. I'm not saying this because I just want you to be so in love with Jesus that the only approval and the only place you seek feelings to feel enough is from him. And I think this is one of the hardest parts about following Jesus, is not caring what people think. And I know that we all have experienced that from time to time, and that's been one thing that's been really hard for me. I've spent so much time of my life caring about what other people think. But I can't control what people think of me, right? But I can only control who I listen to and what I do about it. So when we talk about modesty, we have to look beyond the surface. What does modesty actually look like in our lives? Modesty, write this down. It says, modesty is choosing to reveal the right things about your heart. Modesty is choosing to reveal the right things about your heart. So if the goal is to reveal the right things by the way we live, how do we do that? The truth is, the way that we present ourselves is always revealing something. And the Bible speaks to this directly. If you have your Bibles, turn to 1 Samuel 16, verse 7. It's also going to be up on the screen. 1 Samuel 16, verse 7. This says, "But the Lord said to Samuel, 'Don't judge by his appearance or height, for I have rejected him. The Lord doesn't see things the way you see them, for I have rejected him. The Lord sees the way you see them. People judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart.'" So culture is so obsessed with appearance, but God is focused on your heart. And that's, I think, where we can kind of get confused, because oftentimes when we're talking about modesty and revealing, we're thinking that they're on the opposite sides of the spectrum. Culture tells us that if you reveal more of your body, you're more confident, right? But if you cover up more, then you're insecure. But that's not true. I think it's the opposite. I think both modesty and immodesty reveal something. The way that we dress, the way that we post, the way that we carry ourselves, it's always revealing something about your heart. So if that's true, we also have to look at what immodesty reveals. So immodesty reveals who you're trying to attract. Immodesty reveals who you're trying to attract. And the way that we present ourselves attracts certain type of people. If attention to your body is the main thing that you highlight, don't be surprised when that's the main thing that people notice. And if that's the first thing that people notice, that's probably the kind of people that you're going to attract. Immodesty also reveals insecurity. Immodesty reveals insecurity. Sometimes what looks like confidence is actually just insecurity. It's insecurity just asking to be chosen. And when you don't feel secure in who you are, we start chasing attention to prove your worth. But attention is not the same thing as confidence. Attention is not the same thing as confidence. Immodesty also reveals what you're chasing. Immodesty also reveals what you're chasing. So sometimes we like to wear things and post things because we want a reaction, right? And they could be good motives. They could be good, but most of the time there's a motive behind it. You want more likes, you want more comments, you want more attention, but attention and value aren't the same thing. So we have to be careful on what we're trying to reveal. But there's 3 things that modesty reveals. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into those. So if you're taking notes, the first thing is that modesty reveals your heart. Modesty reveals your heart. Modesty attracts people who value your heart, not just your body. Does anyone like to fish here? Like go fishing? Not the card game, but like actual fishing. I've been a few times in my life, and every time I've learned a little bit more about it. I'm not an expert, so don't ask me questions, but what I do know is that in a tackle box, there's a lot of different types of baits, right? And usually a different type of bait attracts certain type of fish. You tracking with me? I think the coolest thing is that each one has a different purpose. And certain bait is more likely to catch a certain fish, depending on the environment and things like that. But whatever bait you're going to use is going to determine what fish you catch. And the same is true for us. The way that we use our body, the way that we dress, the way that we speak, the way that we act will determine the type of people that we attract. Just like it said in 1 Samuel 16, it says, people judge by the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. So the question becomes, what are you using as bait? What are you using as bait? And this goes for friendships and relationships. If you're constantly using your body and dressing in a way that draws attention, you will attract people who are drawn to that. And I think that's where the danger is, because if all you highlight is your body, don't be surprised when that's what people are looking for, and that's why they're attracted to you. But what you use to attract someone determines what you attract. And in 1 Peter 3 says this, don't be concerned about the outward beauty of fancy hairstyles, expensive jewelry, or beautiful clothes. You should clothe yourselves instead with the beauty that comes from within, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is so precious to God. So what this is saying is that our outer body is going to fade. The beauty is going to fade. Our bodies are going to change. Trends are going to change. We're not going to have the same things that we do now. So while you're here in this moment, what do you want to attract? Who do you want to attract? If you want someone who brings you closer to God, who protects your purity, who values your heart, who wants you to live in a certain type of way that brings them closer to God, learn to live that way. Put yourself in environments with those types of people so that you can attract those types of people. The second thing that modesty reveals is confidence. Modesty reveals confidence. Who do you want to belong to? Who do you want to belong to? In 1 Corinthians 6, verse 19 and 20, it says this, don't you realize that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who lives in you and was given to you by God? You do not belong to yourself, for God bought you with a high price. So you must honor God with your body. You are not your own. That doesn't mean you don't matter. That actually just means you matter more because Jesus paid for you. Jesus died on the cross for you. He bought you at a high price. And that means you, your body, your life isn't just some random casual thing. It's sacred. It matters. You're dedicated. You are set apart because God bought you at a high price. And hear me on this. Sometimes what looks like confidence is actually insecurity dressed up. Sometimes what looks like confidence is insecurity dressed up. So if you're using your body for attention, that's not confidence. That's insecurity asking to be chosen. So if you want someone who wants you for your body, go ahead, post those pictures, wear those crop tops, show more muscle, show more skin, do what the world does, because you'll attract those people. But don't be surprised when that's one of the only things that they value, because attention is not the same thing as confidence. And I want to give you an example on this. A few weeks ago, I had a chance to go to a $32 million house. $32 million house down by the beach, and let me tell you, it was beautiful. Like, it's exquisite, like beautiful, unbelievable. Every detail was like beautifully designed, set in its place, and it was just crazy. Like, think of a Disney movie, but like more extravagant. Like, everything was just like perfect. And there was one rule though. You couldn't take any pictures. So I have no evidence to show you of this, but it's true. You can ask Ryan, and we went. But you couldn't take any pictures. No phones, no posting, no documenting the moment. And at first, it kind of felt a little bit strange because our instinct is to capture everything, right? To capture the moment, show everyone. But the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, this kind of makes sense. Because something that is valuable isn't meant to be put on display for everyone. Something that is valuable isn't meant to be put on display for everyone. Its value is protected. These owners took pride in their house. They knew it was beautiful, so they only let a select few people see it, and they don't show it off to the whole world because it's sacred. It's meant to be just theirs. It's protected. And in a similar way, modesty protects the value that God has placed on your life. Real confidence doesn't need to put everything on display. Real confidence understands what's valuable is worth protecting. And modesty isn't about hiding your worth because you're so worthy. It's about honoring what's valuable. And that's because you are valuable. Because he bought you at a high price. So the world's going to tell you, like, it's your body, show it off, do what you want, post whatever you want. But Jesus is saying, I bought you at a high price. He cares about you so much that he bought you, right? So that should change the way that you carry yourself. And then the third thing is that modesty reveals your intention. Modesty reveals your intention. Can I tell you that modesty isn't just about you? Modesty isn't just about you. And as we mature in our faith, you should begin to consider the impact we have on other people. In Romans 14, verse 13, it says this: so let's stop condemning each other. Decide instead to live in such a way that you will not cause another believer to stumble and fall. Modesty is all about love. Mature faith doesn't ask, am I allowed to do that? Am I allowed to wear that? Am I allowed to post that? Am I allowed to say that? Mature faith is asking, how does this affect other people? And this passage is telling us that we should choose to live in such a way that doesn't put stumbling blocks in the way of our brothers and sisters in Christ. And what I think we all struggle with this one. I know I have, and I've justified some things that I've posted or I've worn because I'm like, it only affects me. It's my choice, right? I can do what I want. Some of us might think like, I'm not responsible for someone else's sin. I'm not responsible if someone lusts over me. That's their issue. They need to control themselves. And listen, yes, it's true. Every person is responsible for their own sin at the end of the day. Guys and girls are both responsible for their thoughts and their actions. But I think this passage challenges us to look at this in a different perspective. While you are not responsible for someone else's sin, you are responsible for how you love people. Although you're not responsible for someone else's sin, you are responsible for how you love people. And love considers impact. Love is sacrifice. Love asks, is this making it easier or harder for someone else to follow Jesus? Is this pulling someone away from Jesus or pushing someone towards Jesus? And you might be thinking, okay, is this actually like a sin to wear this? Do I need to stop wearing my outfit that I'm wearing right now? Or is it a sin to post this? Or is it a sin to look at this? And the honest answer is the Bible doesn't explicitly say, like, list every single clothing item. Like, you're not allowed to wear this and this, but you can wear this and this. It's not going to name every trend. It doesn't say you should not wear this. So maybe not. Maybe it's not directly called a sin, but the better question you should ask yourself is, what direction is this taking me in? What direction is this taking me in? In 1 Corinthians 10, verse 23, it says this: you say I'm allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you. You say I'm not allowed to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. So the question isn't, can I? The question is, should I? What direction is this taking me in? Some other questions you could ask yourself is, does this reflect who I belong to? Does this honor the value that God has placed on my life? Or does this set an example? Just like 1 Timothy, it says to set an example in everything that you do. And can I tell you that you're setting an example whether you realize it or not? Like, if you claim to be a follower of Jesus, if you have a verse in your bio, if you are going to church and posting on Sunday, you're saying that you follow Jesus. So you're setting an example for other people to look at you and say, oh, she follows Jesus, he follows Jesus. So are you setting an example that you want to set? The way you dress, the way that you post, the way that you joke, the way that you carry yourself. So that at the end of the day, modesty isn't all about like restriction, rules, and things like that. It's about love. It's about caring enough, caring more about someone else's relationship with Jesus more than your freedom. And I would consider these questions next time you're thinking about doing something. Why am I wearing this? Why am I posting that? Who am I hoping notices this? What reaction am I looking for? Does this reflect someone who belongs to Jesus? Or would I feel confident if Jesus was standing right next to me right now in this moment? Modesty is asking, how can I honor the value that God has placed on my life? Modesty is asking, how can I honor the value that Jesus has placed on my life? Imagine if we stopped dressing to be chosen and started dressing like we already are. We were made to belong, right? The reason why attention feels so powerful is because we're created to be chosen. We're made to belong, we're made to be loved, we're made to be pursued. We're just looking at it in all the wrong places. So at the end of the day, modesty starts from within. Modesty starts from within. And I think because a lot of what we wear and post and chase usually comes from a desire to feel chosen, but can I tell you that you already are chosen? God didn't wait for you to dress better. God didn't wait for you to clean up. He didn't wait for you to prove your worth. He sent his son on a cross to die for you. Jesus took your sin, he took your shame, your insecurity, your striving, your doubts, your fears, everything, and he paid it all in full. He bought you at a high price. So maybe you're here tonight, you're trying to dress a little bit more modestly, or you're trying to fix yourself before you come to Jesus, but deep down you still feel empty. You're trying to do everything. You still feel like you're fighting to be noticed. You still feel like there's a hole in your heart and you just don't know how to fill it. But can I tell you something? That the hole isn't fixed by more attention. The hole isn't fixed by the more likes on your post. It's not fixed by someone else wanting you. It's fixed by Jesus. It's fixed by Jesus because he's what you've been looking for all along. And I know in a room this size that everyone's at different points, right? Maybe tonight you've realized that you've been caring so much about what other people think. You've been chasing the feeling about being enough from others more than you have from Jesus. You feel like you have to prove your worth. You feel like you're just not good enough until you do certain things. Or maybe you've never actually given your life to Jesus. Maybe tonight you're realizing for the first time, like, oh, Jesus chose me. Jesus bought me. And that's all I should be looking for. So maybe that's you tonight. Or maybe you have been following him and this kind of changed your perspective a little bit. Maybe you've been wondering, like, how far is too far in all circumstances of life? Or what can I get away with? Instead of asking, like, how can I honor the value that God has placed on my life? What direction is my version of modesty taking me? Is it the direction that I want to go? So maybe you guys are asking those questions. But wherever you're at tonight, God's here. He's waiting for you. He's ready to receive it.